get going. I'm just going to connect to Facebook right now.
Mm-hmm. I art ready.
This is like my most least favorite part.
Of course, because one, you can't see your guest. Two, you're never quite sure when you go on live because it'll tell you, but it doesn't tell you. It tells your guest that you're on live.
I know that's the thing. And I always say we got all this chit chat happening in the background. That's the fun part. It's like,
Yeah.
am I on? Am I not on?
So when you say go live, just understand it. At that point in time, when you hit that button, go live, just put a smile
Yeah,
on.
we're ready to go. Okay, so just waiting for
You
the
ready?
little line to go. So I think it's there. Let me
Mm-hmm.
just get back onto Zoom here. Okay. All righty. So we are live. I'm so excited. Welcome everyone to Let's Talk with Camila. Today is Friday. Happy Friday. Next week is Christmas, and one of the topics that I very, very, very passionate about is personal growth. I think I've understood a long time ago, I guess because my parents have always been into always growing yourself and learning and developing. And that's how we grew up as a family. So personal growth, I think, is just it's a staple in my home. It's a staple as part of my life. And I have a guest on today who I'm excited to share with you. And this gentleman is the epitome of personal growth. So would like you to help me welcome Mr. Lester Bailey. Welcome, Lester. And
Thank you.
before I give you time and give you the floor, I want our listeners to know a little bit about you so that you're not a complete stranger. So, this gentleman has worked for the Chicago Police Department for over 30 years. So you've got that under your belt, and I'm sure that you've got some phenomenal and fantastic stories over your 30-year career. Correct?
Oh, you better believe that I do.
Right? And then he's also worked as a bodyguard, not a security guard, a bodyguard, which is a different level. And I'm sure he can explain that if he'd like to, for two US presidents. So again, I would love to be a fly on the wall to have learned what you have heard during your time doing that. And he's currently, and I think this is the reason why we're all here today. He's currently part of the something called My Knowledge Academy, which is his business, and he's also in film. So, on a personal note, he's a father, grandfather, and great grandfather, which I learned today, which that is pretty exciting. And so, welcome, Lester, to the show.
Well, thank you, Camille. I appreciate you so much for inviting me onto this stage. And you know that I truly love personal development, personal growth. That's in my heart all the way around.
Yeah, and I'm liking your retro background there. Are you dating yourself now?
Of course, I can finally admit I'm past 39.
I love it. Yeah, we're
I
all
love.
past 39, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm. Great. So, do you want to first of all share anything about yourself? Do you want to say anything before we sort of jump into personal growth?
No, let's go, let's deep dive. I'm ready to swim.
Okay, great. Well, most of the things that I talk about have to do with mental wellness, and personal
Hmm.
growth, in my opinion, is all about mental wellness because, look, our mental wellness, our mental health, it's about our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, right? And it
Hmm.
affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act, how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and how we make choices, right? So
Right?
personal development actually affects all of those things, right? So maybe I'll turn the floor over to you, and just in generalities, how do you view personal development?
Oh my goodness.
I
Let me
know it's a
first,
loaded question.
yes, let me first start out and say that I currently have a Facebook group on where we talk about personal development in the PM with Miss Kelly Chieson and Miss Samantha Glass. And it was all inspired by, all of our mentor, Mr. Gordon. So we have such an opportunity to see what it is in life that we really want, but we sometimes doubt ourselves. And I've had to teach people how to learn to doubt your doubts because personal development is, first of all, that self care. How often do we understand that us personally as living people that we should love ourselves first and then find out how we can expand on that idea. I
Hmm.
remember as a young man, probably at the age of between 18 and 21, I had an opportunity to go on stage and listen to Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Mark Victor Hansen, and Dr. Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I loved the words in which they stated because they gave me a chance to believe that you can have anything that you ever want in your life as long as you focus on it and get clarity. But
Hmm.
we fall short so many times because we're afraid to take the next step. And in personal growth, you learn how to face that particular fear and develop a plan to say, okay, this is what I want. I remember years ago, like most of us, I lived in the city of Chicago and we always had a lakefront. And I would go to that lakefront and sit on the beach, or the rocks by the beach. And I started imagining all the things I wanted in life, all of them. And yet I was doing absolutely no action toward it because I didn't know how to get started. And I wanted to figure that out. How do I get started? How do I grow? Well, after listening to them, they told me to take the first step. And I was like, wow, that's good. It's like writing a book. What are the first words that you're going to put in a book?
Right.
And most of us have no ideas. Like, well, where do I start? Where do I begin? So I started listening to them, and they were always saying, believe in yourself first.
Correct.
Once you have that idea to believe in yourself, you're on that pattern of self growth. When you don't know what to do, how about you start listening and reading the books? There's so many books that are out there, and I guess everybody says we have so many people, so many writers. But if you really look at them, when you boil it down, they all say the same thing, just in a different voice.
A different way. Yeah.
Yes. And because we have that voice, it's like, wow, what do we do when we finally figure out that we can create the world? We can have anything that we want, but we have to first start out again. That first step, the next step is to believe in yourself. The third step, believe it or not, is action.
Hmm.
What actions will you take? And I'm finding out the stage where most people are, they're afraid to take that action.
Why do you think people are afraid to take actions, or why they don't in general?
Oh, I say this all the time. You have two cousins, fear and procrastination. Fear is that thing that you look at that's in front of you and you don't know what's there. So you're afraid to take that step to say, I can do this. But it's like they'll tell you if you have faith, the difference between and fear is the next step. That's all. You can't see the next step on your faith and you can't see the next step in your fear. But now the cousin procrastination says, sit back, let somebody else try it out first. Let's see if you can do it. And you're holding back procrastination, and you and procrastination are going together. And as soon as you get past procrastination, the cousin comes back and say, "Fear, I'm here." But it's again, we all know fear basically is stated by Jim Rohn as false evidence appearing real. So what holds us back are those two things, and that's the reason that we're so afraid to take that next step. And once we get past it, it's easier to take the next step.
Yeah, one of the things I tell people is if you're really stuck and you want to be in action and you want to believe in yourself, like the intention is there, but the action isn't there, is
Hmm.
get yourself a coach or a support, some kind of support. It's almost like, if I want to get myself fit and I don't know where to start, I might hire a personal trainer who will educate me and I can be accountable to that person to get me going. So, would you recommend a coach as well?
Well, definitely, you're always going to get a coach. Most people think that you have to go out and hire a coach. The tools that we have, especially with electronics, and you look at your data, you can go to YouTube, you can also go to Google, and you can Google who is doing the thing that you want to do. Like Les Brown taught me, he says, I always read motivational books or I listen to the tapes. But now, if you want to hit Les Brown, you used to have to travel forever and spend a gazillion dollars doing it. But yet, today, all you have to do is type in his name in a Google search or a YouTube search, and you have a coach, you have a mentor, you have my step. If you can find somebody that's personally doing it, yeah, we feel better because we love connection. But during this virus time, the connection is not there with people. So what do you do next? I was always taught, be resourceful. Use the resources that you have, and you'd be surprised. Getting that coach is one click away.
Right. So now, let me take you back into the beginning of your career when you were working as a police officer. Um,
Hmm.
how did you incorporate personal development during your career? Because I know a lot of people, if you're in the industry of personal development, it's automatic. But if you're in a traditional job, it tends not to be unless the employer offers you, courses and things to take. But what was your path to personal growth?
It was all, I had several things. Of course, church was one because it was my belief. But the other, of course, is the materials in which I read every day. As a police officer, you do not go to work and have a happy day. Let's just call it out. It's not one of those things. Nobody calls the police and say, "Listen, I'm having a baby. Would you like to be there?" Or, "My wedding is today or my birthday." That's not what they're calling you for. They're normally calling you because one of the worst things happened in life, and you get to deep dive into that life. But what pulls you out are the things that you read, the things that go into your what I call autosuggestive mind, because you always are hearing and hearing and hearing. And all of that stuff that you dump into your life every day, you have to have something that's going to counteract that. And by reading books, and reading all the books and listening to all of those tapes over and over again, gave me a chance to continue to build upon what I wanted when I was 18. I understood that I had to have something that was going to bring me life. So many times we don't have that thing's going to bring us life. When you're dealing with negative situations, negative talk, you have to have something that's going to either balance that out or overtake that. Reading books and doing the tapes, the videos, and what have you, that has always led me, truly down the correct path of life.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, books has always been traditional, and lately the big thing has been, meditations and listening to things.
Oh
So
my goodness,
audio tapes, I'd assume, would fall into that category. You're, listening
meditation.
all the time.
One of the greatest things, because I walk every day as part of my exercise, and I actually walk 10 miles, and I get to meditate on a lot of those. I have my audio books. I
Yeah.
get to hear all of these things over and over again because your learning is by repeated things that you do or things that you hear. And because you're hearing it all the time and you got your earphones on, you're hearing that. There's nothing that's going to be negative in it. So you're fighting those negative forces, because again, that fear of procrastination, those cousins lock hand in hand all the time and they tell you, hey, we're ready to come and get you. So you need to find some type of balance. And that's the best balance I found out over the years. That's why, again, I do a personal development in the evenings because I understand, the trials and tribulations of negativity.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in a negative career, like you said,
Hmm.
like surrounded, your environment has been negative for so many years. Um,
Hmm.
what would you say is the single most important thing that has kept you from drowning in that negativity?
Keeping a positive mindset. I had, a quick story, in 2015, I was driving home from work. And as I was driving home from work, I happened to notice somebody in the middle of the street. And as I'm looking at this guy in the middle of the street and I'm about to pass him by, he tries to steal my car. And at that moment, I'm fully dressed. I'm in my police uniform. And I go to get ready to lock this guy up. I'm like, you're not going to steal my car, and I'm not going to let you get away with it. Well, as I'm chasing him, all of a sudden I hear bang, that first shot. And then it's constant shots bang, 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 bang. Whereas it was 28 shots directly toward me.
Holy crap.
And
So
and
he tried to kill you.
he and a couple other people, there were three guys. Two were in the front of my vehicle, one from the left side, one on the right side, and one right behind me on the passenger side. Can
Hmm.
remember that day as it were yesterday. And again, I told you that was April 24th, 2015, 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I
we don't
know.
we don't we don't easily forget those days, right?
No, you're not going to forget the details. But when all of that was going on, And the thing that kept me, because of my repeated actions that I've always had toward uplifting myself,
Mhm.
those habits showed up because after all of that was over, I still had to go to work.
Wow.
So when you're still looking at this, my mindset, because of my training, because of my repeated action, when I say training, I don't mean police training, my training on personal development, that personal growth, it jumped in because of those were my habits. I didn't have to come back with it. We all have a default system, and we default on the things that protect us the most. But if you don't learn how to find that default, if you don't learn how to get that new habit, what we always talk about, what are your habits? If you don't learn how to do that, you will fall back into the same actions you have always. So
Mhm.
imagine me going back to work, and now I have to go and find a different criminal to do something else in my day and yet keep my attitude great. It's a default. It's what you learn all the time. Personal development is something you do daily. It's not, okay, I'll do this for 30 days and I'm done. That'll never work.
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting that you say that because I get a lot of clients that I teach them things,
Hmm.
and a lot of skill sets. And sometimes they'll come back to me after a week or a month and they'll say, Camila, it didn't work. And my mindset, I tell them all the time, it's like this is a lifestyle change. This isn't something you're going to do once or twice and then expect to have these miraculous results. Like if you, I don't know, you wanted to eat healthy, but you have the salad once a week, how's that going to be for you?
Okay.
Right?
Most people love quick fixes,
Yes.
but the true thing is, what is in your mindset? What are your thoughts? And I ask a question of my audience, even still, if thoughts are things, what are you thinking? And as long as you're having the right type of thoughts, it becomes a part of your life. Anything that you do automatically, like waking up out of bed, do you think to put your left foot on the floor, then your right foot, or vice versa? No, it's a part of your mindset. It's a part of the things that you do as a habit. What habits that you have lead to the success or failures you're going to have in life. You just have to know that it takes a little while to change them, but they can be changed. Change is in an instant. You just have to be ready for that instant, as the saying goes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we're at the end of our year. We're at the end of 2020 and we've had a challenging year for most of us to say the least. And I know many people are hoping to have a better 2021. So, if you could just say, the top three things, if somebody says, well, I want to change my year next year, and where do I start? Give me three things that I can do like right
Wow.
now. What are those top three things? What would you recommend? Where do people start?
Focus, clarity, and belief. You only need those three things. Focus on what you really want. Be clear in exactly what you want and believe it is yours. It can't get any simpler than that.
Wow, I love that. It's so simple. Not easy, but simple.
Yes. Well, what the old saying goes, if it was easy to do, everyone would be doing
Right.
it.
Yes, I know. And I talk a lot about, decreasing cortisol levels and managing anxiety because when anxiety is high, we don't have focus and clarity. And things like meditation actually help us to achieve the focus and clarity that you're talking about.
I love when you say meditation. Meditation isn't just sitting still humming.
Right.
If you're listening to music and you're listening to your favorite song, and for some people, they know the words to it or all the musical beats, that's meditation. That's meditation exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
just of what you're focusing on. You can't learn a song if you don't focus on it.
Right. Actually, that was the reason I never meditated for years is because I'm a high energy person. And for me to sit still with my eyes closed, chanting some kind of mantra or listening to like what I call dinner music just didn't cut it for me. I couldn't do it. I was like, this is nuts.
Hmm.
I felt like I needed to move. And so when I learned that meditation can come in different forms and you can actually do it with your eyes open or walking. Then I started to focus on that whole mindfulness aspect. And for me, it's made the world of difference. So, what difference, maybe we'll end on this note, what difference would you say it's made for you?
The greatest difference of my life because now my clarity, my focus, and my vision have gotten so much clearer that I know I understand what my purpose is. Once you have a purpose to do anything in life, now you know how.
Yeah.
Just meditate on it,
So
focus on it clearly.
we never talked about, the Knowledge Academy that you're into right now. So maybe we could, talk a little bit about that.
Well, the Mindology Academy is setting up for that because you're going to build that mindfulness. Most people, again, we're looking for purpose, living life on purpose with a purpose for a purpose. How do you get there? How do you learn to set your mind in that meditative state where you can actually get that thing that you want? What are some of the keys that you're going to have? And we're teaching this language because all of it's a language, no matter whether you think it's English or Spanish or thinking and concentrating. It's a language that you have to get. And inside of this Mindology Academy that I'm working with, it's helping us to get that focus so we can live our lives on purpose through different types of meditation. I don't mean again, not that but that okay, I got that. That what do they call that moment? Aha moment.
Aha moment. Yep.
I like those aha. That's a meditation. That's all it is.
Yeah, awesome. And so are you, if somebody wanted to know more about my Knowledge Academy, how do they connect with you?
Oh, real simple. All you have to do is reach me at Lester at chantelsimone.com. That's it. Lester at chantelsimone.com. And send me an email and I'll answer you back and you can find out is all that you want and may become a member of the Minology Academy.
Awesome. Yeah, and so maybe just for purpose of spelling, once we post the video up, if you could in the comment section type that in, so people will can just click on that.
Yes, 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 and yes.
Okay. Well, Lester, as always, thank you so much for being on the show and for all of you for connecting with Let's Talk with Camila. I am so privileged to have had Mr. Lester Bailey here on the show to talk about personal growth. If you're joining us late, my recommendation is just to listen to the repeat because the
Mhm.
information is just phenomenal. And Lester, hopefully we can have you back on in the new year.
I look forward to it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And maybe I'll get you on our personal development one evening. That
That
would be
would
a
be
lot of
fun.
fun too. All right.
Okay. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and New Year. Bye
Yes.
bye for now.
Okay. Bye bye.